Welcome everybody watching. My name is Taryn. I'm from New Hampshire and I'm a student at Northeastern University in Boston. Today I'm interviewing Anthony Severo, who is currently an entrepreneur and founder of 1528, which is a shared workspace, and he's also founder of a recently launched digital marketing company in Oakland, California. Tony, please start by telling us where you grew up and where you went to college.
Okay. I grew up in Yonkers, New York, which is just outside of New York City. I started my college experience at Manhattan College, and for various reasons, I moved on to UConn several years later. I graduated with mechanical engineering degree out of UConn.
What was the process like for you in deciding what to do after high school?
I think my process was really unique. I thought I had a clear vision of what I'd like to do and what I wanted to do. I worked in the construction industry throughout my teenage years and early 20s, and I thought for sure I'd be some sort of a mechanical project manager. I had a mechanical engineering degree, and I felt I'd either be designing the wing of a plane or designing an HVA system or something like that. And that was pretty certain until I got close to graduation. And then the process changed a bit. And a lot of it had to do is I wanted more of a world experience. And I felt that the companies I was interviewing with weren't dynamic enough for myself. So they were very sort of internally focused. And it just wasn't resonating with me. And I didn't realize that. And so I started the process of just considering other things that were more dynamic and where you do meet lots of people and you're more of an extrovert.
In what ways did your formal education prepare you for your career?
My formal education, well, for sure. I mean, anytime you're an engineer, I think the math and science background really helped. But I think the biggest thing was credibility of graduating, at least for me as an engineer and just graduating from a four-year program. I don't think that the opportunities that I had would have been available to me without a four-year degree. So to me, that was the most important thing, is just making it to the end and having a degree. So I feel that was at least the starting gate for me to go after any opportunity I'd like to in the future.
Did you have any jobs during college that influenced your thinking about what you wanted to do for work upon graduation?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a project manager in New York City for an HVAC company, and it was really an incredible job. And I was entrusted with a pretty big role, and I was managing mechanical installations in New York City, in the World Trade Center, and the Chrysler Building, and it was exciting, but it was really stressful. Um, and I loved being responsible for things, um, but I also noticed that there was a limited career path in that, and that 20, 30 years later, you weren't really doing anything much different. So it was limited and highly stressful.
Hmm. So building off of career paths, please tell us about your career path, what your first job was out of college, and the types of companies you've worked for, and what roles have you taken up at those companies?
Okay. So in my journey, in my senior year, I bumped into a company called Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture, and I attended a college career fair, and I met them. And I really never considered a job as a consultant. And this is when sort of IT was just really getting big, and it was new, it was fresh, and there was the opportunity to travel and work with a lot of different customers and clients and solve lots of different problems and work with a lot of people my age, which is a lot different than the engineering jobs that I was interviewing with. So I started my career at Accenture out of New York City, and I immediately was put on a project that was pretty intense, and it was at the United Parcel Service, and I was responsible for rewriting the package tracking system, and I had a good knack for it. And that system later was used for internet tracking of all packages around the world. I think I worked probably 16, 17 hours a day. Uh, on Friday night, I'd want to go out in the city, and if you left at 7, it was frowned upon. So I would leave my jacket on my chair and sort of walk out for a few hours, go out and come back. But it was an amazing opportunity. It was a lot of work. but I really sunk my teeth into something, and I did great work. It was recognized, and I think that recognition really helped me launch the rest of my life. And exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up. When I grew up, I didn't quite know, but I knew I wanted to travel. I knew I wanted to leave New York, and I used that opportunity to transfer to California 3 years later.
Hmm, that's awesome. And what kind of educational background and experience should a person have to be qualified to do what you do professionally 10 or 20 years from now? And then building off of that, is an advanced degree important or not, in your opinion?
It helps. And what's interesting is before the internet, engineering was really important. And I think that probably 75% of these jobs went to people who had engineering degrees. What happened with the internet is then you had writers, creatives, engineers, project managers all coming together to work on projects, and then it blurred a bit. And then you started to see a lot of crossover. You started to see some really creative people program. You started seeing engineers managing. So it's not one thing. I think if you want to succeed in web development and web design, in app development, I think it's important to engage in it. You don't have to have any specific degree. Obviously, an engineering degree helps, but I think if you're passionate about it and you learn on your own, there'll be a lot of doors open for you. But certainly an engineering degree, if you want to be a developer, helps. And is a formal education required? No. In fact, some of the best people I've ever worked with barely made it out of high school. And like Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates, did he graduate college or not? I don't think he did, right? I
I
think
remember. I
I think he
forgot.
failed. But that's very typical for a lot of uber incredible developers. So I'm careful when I hire, not to judge by only the school you went to and just by your degree. I really look at the work. But I think in general, there are many companies who are looking for impressive looking resumes and degrees.
And what factors do you think are important in determining a person's career aside from formal education?
Yeah, it's what you love and what makes you happy. That's the most important thing. Money's important, depends on person's situation. For some people, money is the most important thing, especially if you come from a lower economic situation and you're trying to make a difference for your family. Then, unfortunately, that trumps what you love many times. But if you have the opportunity, I'd say, do what makes you really happy and makes a lot of money if you can have that. But I think what happens is if you're only chasing the financial component, you continue to feel a little bit empty. And I'm not sure that there's any one job that will fulfill any one person. So I think for me, it's always been about balance. And I, like Tom, I mean, I love playing sports. Okay. I tried to become an NBA professional basketball player. I tried to become center fielder of the New York Yankees. It just didn't work. um, but I make sure that I fulfill that part of my life. So, I worked on many projects where it was very busy, and I would always make sure that I booked 3 times a week at lunchtime, my gym time, to go play basketball. So it's really important to take care of yourself. And if you're not working in your dream job, and even if you are, you need to balance your life and take care of the things you love and take care of things that keep you healthy and happy.
Overall, what has been the most important factor in shaping your career?
Hmm. Not being afraid to fail is definitely the most important thing. So I've had my own agency for the past 20 years, and people always ask, well, what's important with an agency? Like, what do you need to know? And what I've learned is the thing that you need to know is to be confident, because what I provide is, people hire me because they're trying to figure something out. They're trying to solve a problem. But often when you're trying to solve a problem, you get stuck because you're afraid to fail, or you come up with a solution, but you're thinking of all the negatives. I found in my career, I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to push through. If it feels right, yeah, we might fail, but we'll never know. So I've always been able to push people out of their comfort zone, including myself, and I've had a lot of failures. But even within your failures, and failure is an interesting word, you always learn. and every single one you can leverage or learn and come out of it, as long as it doesn't kill you. So you need to know sort of when to cut. But I feel that's the most important thing. It's not how much technology I know, it's how many books I've read or what's my degree. It's that I'm not afraid to push people past their comfort zone. And you know, instinctually, people usually know what to do, but there's many things that hold them back. So I push through. And that goes with a lot of ideas. You know, I'll chase after ideas. I use my instincts to do it, and I'll just go for it. And I think more of the time it works out. And when it doesn't, maybe move on.
What advice do you have for young people thinking about a career in business?
Um, if you love it, if you like it, then certainly go for it. Realize though that there are many jobs in business that are being sort of commoditized, especially with a lot of pressure from, you know, overseas development or lower cost development. So I think it's important in whatever job you go after, learn the business, learn it, learn how it works, learn to innovate in that business. To me, that's key. People who are creative, can innovate, are not afraid to, they'll be very valuable. But if like you just want to be an accountant and just, you know, close the books every month and be tactical, but my fear is that that job or that type of career is going to get harder and harder in terms of, you know, financial reward.
Hmm. Well, Tony, thank you so much for being here with us tonight and going through this. I really enjoyed interviewing you, and just thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited to be sharing this video with a bunch of other kids that are now looking into business and hopefully, you know, going to follow similar type of path that you followed. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.